It's spring of my sophomore year of high school, and I am standing quite literally at the foot of our nation's capital. I got my little professional outfit on, and I got one AirPod in, playing a jazz beat that I tap my foot to as I wait. And I feel so important. You see, I was waiting for what felt like a penultimate moment in my young life as a climate organizer. I, Sara Karp, was about to go lobby Congress. Eventually, I pick up my things and, along with my fellow high school-age lobbyists, navigate through a maze of congressional hallways to our first meeting of the day with Rep. Lois Frankel. Slowly, I turn the knob on the door and we walk in. 30 minutes later, we walk back out, loudly high-fiving as we try to keep our chill, not trying to present as the starry-eyed kids who had just really seen national politics for the first time. And yet, as we're alone in the elevator minutes later, I turn to them and say something along the lines of, "Guys, we just talked to a congresswoman about climate education. We are so cool." My next 3 days in DC pass in a whirlwind. I feel this electric buzz of change all around me. And then I leave. My flight gets into Boston at around 11 p.m. I drive home, walk into a quiet, dark house, and slump down at the kitchen table. I love this kitchen table. In many ways, I think that it is the reason that I made it to DC in the first place. I grew up with 2 older siblings and a family that loved to talk politics, especially over dinner. And as a really little kid, I hated this. I was constantly whining at them to stop talking about politics, but eventually I grew tired of this and instead turned to reading the news nightly to keep up with the dinnertime debates. Through many of these debates and also a love of cooking all the food we ate, I found my way to local farms and farmers markets, and eventually, propelled by the notion that climate change was making it harder to feed our communities, I found my way to the climate movement. And yet tonight, in the comfort of a seat at this table, my heart starts to sink. I have come home to a slog of school assignments that I have to make up, and I have also come home to the reality of my very own climate education campaign in shambles. Months earlier, as part of my fellowship at the nonprofit Our Climate, I had helped write this bill to get climate change taught in our schools here in Massachusetts. And let's just say, the advocacy process was not going exactly as I had planned. We had multiple versions of the bill drafts, and I was getting lots of emails from confused partner organizations. Unfortunately for me, there was no clear campaign plan that had magically appeared in my Google Drive while I was away. I let out a light groan. I had just left DC, and already I could feel myself searching for the next DC, the next moment that would feel big and exciting, that would affirm why I was even doing this in the first place. And so over the next couple of months, I'm continuing to plug away at the campaign. We're getting some small wins, and I'm not celebrating them because I'm too busy daydreaming about bigger wins. Like, I had this vision of a coalition that would bring together students, teachers, everybody involved in our schools to help plan for the effects of climate change on our schools. Everything from, yes, teaching about climate change in the classroom, but also drafting plans for how we transport students to and from school during periods of intense flooding. I had actually been talking to some folks who seemed to share in this vision, and so by summer, I find myself on a Zoom call. I'm now an employee of Mass Audubon, and we're all kind of just staring at this blank document. We're trying to figure out, so how exactly does someone go about creating a coalition like this? I learned the hard way that the answer to that question would not be my next DC. The first few months of the coalition building process were agonizingly slow, and so on many days, organizing looks like this. I am sitting at my computer, and I am retyping the same 5 sentences of our vision statement over and over, just trying to get this thing in my head onto paper. And at the end of many of those days, I just want to slam the computer shut and go, I quit, I'm done, I walk away. And I know then, and I know now, that I wasn't being serious. I had said the statement too many times for it to mean anything, other than the fact that my search for DC was not sustainable. And so I go on Christmas break. I don't think about work. And I come back in early January to a long list of outreach emails that I need to send. And so on a rainy, cold Thursday, I drive myself home, I pull a chair up to the kitchen table, and I get ready to send those emails. I notice about a half hour in that I'm kind of smiling to myself as I type. I'm smiling because a girl that I met on the Governor's Youth Council just filled out our coalition interest form. And also, I'm replying to a teacher that I met a year ago at a climate conference. She is so excited about the work our coalition is doing. I'm starting to realize that we do not build movements with lobby trips to DC. We build movements by writing documents and spreadsheets. We build movements by creating community and sharing the load of this work. We build movements by sitting at the kitchen table. I click send, and I think maybe I have found my next DC. Thank you.